We're going to talk about how to anchor your curtains down. And this will be relevant to customers who have a curtain and they're deciding they want to have more anchor points to secure the curtain a little tighter than what they currently have. So we're going to go through a few different styles. The first style that we're going to talk about is a shock cord. And a shock cord is basically almost like a little tiny bungee strap. So here we can see the shock cord, and we have two anchoring points. The first is in the curtain, and the second is to the structure. Now the structure can be just about anything, obviously. It could be a wood pole, could be some type of a steel beam. And what you tie off to could be a lot of different things as well. But the way this works is you have two parts to the shock cord connector. The first part looks like so, and this is going to puncture through the curtain and then snap into this portion here. And you can purchase this at SaleRite. They have a lot of different ways to connect curtains. They specialize in mostly marine grade curtains. And of course in the open ocean you have to have things buttoned down. So they're real good experts to reference on a lot of different connection types. But the shock cord is really useful. It's easy to install. It's easy to put some kind of a fastener onto your structure. It is important to note that these two need to be far enough away that this has tension on it. If it's too close and this is kind of loose, as soon as the wind starts blowing, it's going to blow this cord off of the connection point. The next style is a grommet, and the grommet is probably the easiest, quickest, most versatile method of tying down your curtain because you can use so many different types of fasteners. So when Acon ships a curtain, along the top we have grommets every 12 inches. Sometimes a customer might request these to go along the sides as well. And here you can see a customer who has grommets on the top, and then along the sides he's using shock cords to attach it to this pole. So he's just wrapping it around and keeping tension on it. And he's got a nice clean, tight appearance to his curtain. It's not going anywhere. But if he needs access, he can quickly undo these shock cords and get access. So to do this, you're going to want to put a grommet in your curtain. And you can get these grommets, they're called grommet kits, on Amazon. And it comes in two different styles. You have this style, which is a punch. So what you do is you lay your curtain down, you have a piece of wood under it, you have a hammer, you're going to whack this die, and it's going to put a hole in the curtain. And then the next step is to lay your curtain over the die, put the grommet on it, whack it again, and then you have yourself a grommet that's installed into the curtain. So you do this, however far apart you want them. A standard is around 12 to 24 inches on the verticals. And then from there, you can use what's known as a bungee cord tarp tie down. So if you search the internet for that or Amazon, you'll see there's lots of people that supply these. And again, it's important that these two things are far apart so there's tension on that cord. You don't want a loose cord because your curtain's going to be flopping around. And very versatile. You can tie off here. Someone's tying off to a beam. It's just one of the most common ways of tying down a curtain system. And you can also purchase that kit with a punch, which is kind of like a handheld. I probably would recommend this only if it's a very thin material, and I would be more inclined to use this style here because it's going to give you a larger diameter hole, and these are really small. These are kind of more or less for like signs for advertisements that would come from a printing shop. So I'd probably stay away from this and stick with the hammer style. And here we have a picture. This is actually from heavydutytarps.com. They have a great article which I recommend reading, where they suggest using what's called a suspended eye leg screw. So you have a screw that has a hole in it. It essentially looks like this. And there's a hole there, comes down, and then you have your threads. And what you can do is you can just shove something through this hole, and then when you want to take your curtain off, you just take this thing off, and it's just quickly on and off. So a really, really cool idea. And you can find all of this material also on Amazon as well. Another method is a twist lock, also called a turn button. These are very popular in the marine industry, and again, Sailrite has a great setup as far as buying the tools to do this, and they also have great videos showing how to go about installing it. And here's an example of a punch, right? So you put it down on something soft like plastic, you whack this thing with a hammer, you get yourself a hole, and then you have these small divots on the side perimeter. And then lastly, which it goes over in the video, this goes on, and you bend over these knobs, and then it's installed. And the way this works is you can twist this left and right, so once you line this up this way, you can take your curtain off, and to lock it, which twist lock, that's where the term comes from, you just turn it, and then you got your curtain locked down. So these are used along the perimeters. Of course, the lock stays put, curtain comes off. And Sailrite has a lot of different fasteners that they show too. Like here's a button. You can use buttons, and there's a bunch of different styles. Another really good version, which is quick and dirty, is called a tarp grabber. A tarp grabber works much like the first bit of hardware I showed you, where it punctures through the curtain. So once this punctures through the curtain, it's got a sharp pointy knob, well there it is right there, that'll puncture the curtain, and it locks. So once you do this, it's permanently locked. So this is not something you take on and off of the curtain. Once you do it, it's on there. You'd have to break it apart to get it open. And you could use this along the perimeter. You could also use it in lieu of a grommet to hang the curtain. You can see here it's got a hole, so you could put this at the top of a curtain every 12 inches, and then you have that hole hanging above it, and you could run cable through that or however you want to hang it. Another version of that is a version that actually clamps. So with this style, you put your curtain inside of the clamp, and then you twist this, and it locks down on it. And there you're not puncturing the curtain, and you have the ability to remove this later as well. Now, if you're trying to anchor the curtain to the ground, you're dealing with a different structure to attach to. So you're dealing with concrete, cement. If it's dirt, I don't have a good method for you to tie it down to dirt, but most of our customers have cement below their, or concrete below their curtains. So Acon can actually supply you the anchor plate. So an anchor plate is this here, which would be bolted. There's no bolt here because it's just done for visual reference. You bolt this into your concrete, and then you have which is known as a bulk strap webbing, and we supply that as well. So it goes through a grommet, which you would install if it's not already there, and it loops through the D-ring, back up, and then it uses tension to hold it in place. And then you can pull this tight to really bear down on it so that it's nice and snug to the ground. And you can use other type of fasteners you can get from a hardware store besides this D-ring. You could actually even do this on the side. So if this is your vertical and you have a structure over here, you could actually use this webbing to do the same thing as we're doing to the ground and tie that tight to keep tension on this curtain. And you can do that on any side. And finally, the last style, which kind of builds off the last slide that we talked about, is the tarp grabber. So here we're using that grabber again, and it's going into a D-ring. And here you could use a string, a cable, whatever you want to tie into that little hole there. So a great method for tying it on the verticals or to the ground as well. So hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions whatsoever, just reference the Acon staff and we'll help you out. A lot of different ways to tie down your curtain after you receive it. So if you do have it and it's flying around and you really want to tie down, no need to send it back to whoever provided you the curtain. A lot of these solutions you can do right on site.